My best friend and I decided to take a much-needed road trip to Joshua Tree last spring. We both work high-stress corporate jobs in LA and just wanted a few days of total isolation. No emails, no traffic, just a pool and the desert. We found this super sleek, modern Airbnb about 20 minutes off the main road. It was a secluded, one-story place with huge floor-to-ceiling windows and a private pool. The listing emphasized that it was completely off the grid, which sounded like heaven at the time. When we pulled up, the place was stunning. White walls, polished concrete floors, very minimalist. The backyard was basically just sand and cactus, stretching out forever. There was a small metal storage container sitting near the back fence that looked like it was for garden tools or pool chemicals. We never met the host. We just got a keypad code and went inside. The first day was a vibe. We grilled out, hung by the water, and just unplugged. The first weird thing happened around 2 a.m. on night 1. I woke up to a faint, metallic clinking sound coming from outside. It sounded like someone was lightly tapping a spoon against a pipe. I figured it was just the desert wind or the house cooling down after a 90-degree day, so I just rolled over and went back to sleep. The second day, while we were lounging by the pool, I heard this low, rhythmic humming. It wasn't a machine. It sounded like a person humming a tune from a long distance away. I asked my buddy if he heard it, and he just laughed, saying it was probably a coyote or my ears playing tricks on me because of the silence. But it felt off, like someone was watching us from the edge of the property where the brush gets thick. Night 3 is when things got terrifying. I was sitting in the dark living room, scrolling through my phone, when the motion sensors in the backyard started popping off. First, the light by the grill turned on. 10 seconds later, the one by the pool. Then, the one right next to the metal storage container. It wasn't random. It was a literal trail of someone walking toward the house. My friend woke up, and we both sat there, frozen, watching the lights flicker on and off. He wanted to call the cops right then, but I felt like I needed to know if we were actually in danger, or if it was just some stray animal. Against his better judgment, I grabbed a heavy iron skillet from the kitchen and stepped out the sliding glass door. The desert air was dead silent. I started walking toward the back fence, my heart pounding against my ribs. That's when I saw them, clear, fresh shoe prints in the sand. They didn't lead to the house. They led directly to that metal storage container. I approached the container, my hand shaking so hard I could barely hold the skillet. I stood a few feet from the metal door, listening. For a long moment, there was nothing. Then, from inside the dark container, a man's voice, perfectly calm and polite, whispered through the vents. "Excuse me, would you mind letting me out? It's getting a bit cramped in here." I didn't say a word. I just stood there paralyzed. Then, he let out this soft, high-pitched giggle that made my skin crawl. I turned and sprinted back to the house, slammed the door, and locked every single bolt. We called 911 immediately. Because we were so far out, it took the sheriff almost 25 minutes to arrive. Those were the longest minutes of my life. We kept seeing the motion lights trigger outside. Someone was literally circling the house, tapping on the glass windows. When the police finally showed up, they searched the property. They opened the metal container, but it was empty. However, they found a sleeping bag, several half-eaten cans of food, and a pair of binoculars. The guy had been living in there the entire time we were staying at the house, but the real kicker came right before we left. One of the deputies walked out of the guest bedroom, the room we hadn't even used yet, holding a dirty, worn-out flannel shirt. He asked if it was ours. We both turned pale. That shirt was not there when we checked in. It was draped over the chair in the corner of the room. This guy hadn't just been in the container. He had been inside the house while we were hanging out by the pool. We packed our bags in 10 minutes and hightailed it to a motel in town. I messaged the Airbnb host over a dozen times, but he never replied. Not a single word. It was like he didn't even exist. Airbnb eventually gave us a refund, but I can't shake the memory of that calm, polite voice asking to be let out of the box, knowing he was inside that house, maybe even standing in the hallway while we slept. I haven't stayed in an Airbnb since.